Welcome back to Notepad. I have my co-host here, Sharaad, Kuttan, joining me for this lovely evening. We'll talk a little bit more about the markets because the Kuala Lumpur shares ended the week on a lower note with persistent selling in healthcare, mid-cap and stocks, while institutional investors emerged to support index-linked stocks. At the close, the Futsa Bursa Malaysia eased 4.16 points to 1494 from yesterday's close of 1498. The index opened at 1499, oscillated between 1489 to 1502 throughout the day due to market outflow by the mid and small cap stocks. The scoreboard saw decliners trouncing advances by 894 to 311, while 352 counters were unchanged. We take a look at the volume because today the volume rose to 6.92 billion units worth 4.1 billion from 6.73 billion units worth 4.6 billion recorded on Thursday yesterday. Bernama reports and analysts saying that the market declined today over the uncertainties surrounding both the economic and political developments in the country, with retail investors exiting the market. And of course, international investors have been on the, exiting the country for the longest of time, but that was not seen in the daily trading of yesterday and today. So it's still a lot of retail investors coming in and out of the market. What we are worried right now is, of course, the investors per se and how they will react towards the announcement that is expected to take place tomorrow, and whether or not the markets are going to even be open on Monday. Sharaad, what do you think of all this?
Well, so I'm very interested in your assessment of, of the market movements, whether the volatility there, high volumes, as you mentioned, reflect the volatility in our political situation.
I think there's a lot of volatility involved, but at the same time, I don't think that the markets should stop because at the end of the day, it's all about managing the situation right now.
Okay, so that's an interesting thing because there's a lot of talk about how this government or proponents of emergency rule would try to frame or spin or, massage the message of an emergency. So not to use the terms that we've become used to, reflecting on the 1969 emergency of, sort of to ease alarm by saying this is going to be an economic emergency. Targeted at the pandemic, but largely keeping everything intact, especially the economic life of the country. Do you think that will reassure investors, especially foreign investors in the country?
No, because at the end of the day, foreign investors will look at the rule of law. Foreign investors will want stability in the government, and foreign investors want to make sure that if things go to court, and things do go to court, can the court be fair and trustworthy despite who the government of the day is. And because of that uncertainty that is currently happening right now, I doubt that foreign investors are going to look at this in a positive light. Now, bear in mind, this Monday, there's going to be a big IPO by Mr. DIY. And Mr. DIY is in a problematic situation right now because a lot of punters are saying that they are not going to do well this year because they have a lot of retail outlets, and a lot of retail outlets generally don't do well in this pandemic. But at the same time, because of the excited nature of the business, people are still betting on it. So there's a lot of pro and con that is going to happen with Mr. DIY in the IPO that's happening this Monday. But assuming that the announcement of an emergency takes place on Saturday, what will happen to the markets on Monday? Will it still be business as usual? What will happen to IPOs like Mr.
So
DIY?
I want to pose you this question. Now, one of the stories that came out about the possibility of an emergency rule in Malaysia was that the reason would be to allow for the budget to be passed without any kind of opposition. One of the concerns was when Parliament opens on the 2nd of November, there was discussions about the budget, that budget would not pass pass because there would be a vote, it would be voted down.
Yeah.
Now, with an emergency decree, you'd have the executive essentially being able to push that through. Would that be good for markets? Are markets looking to budgets, to the state, to help businesses, to help workers, put money into the system? Would that be good news for businesses?
Still no, because at the end of the day, we want to look at the stability of not just the market, but the country that the market is operating in. Say, for instance, right, why investors like China. They like China because there is stability and continuity in government. Now, they have no democracy there, everybody understands it, but because of the fact that that has been the operational system that it has seen over the past 6 decades, there is consistency there and investors like it. Why people shun the American markets these days is because of the instability in the White House, but at the same time, some indexes and some stock exchanges like the Nasdaq has been outperforming, and the reason is because there is stability and continuity there. So can we say that there is stability and continuity in the Malaysian, I guess, governmental system, and can that stability seen be transferred into Bursa Malaysia?
Okay, so that brings us to the crux of the matter, Ibrahim. Is the problem that this government is facing today, the Perikatan National Government, is the challenge a public health challenge or is it a political stability issue? Is it about the fact that they don't have the legal heft to carry out the public health programs that they want? Or is it about the fact that their coalition partners are constantly sniping at their heels? We've had, of course, the challenges coming from Anwar Ibrahim. About a month ago, we had Zaid Ibrahim, almost president of UMNO, threatening, Zaid Hamidi threatening Muhyiddin Yassin, the Prime Minister, saying, we expected that cabinet reshuffle and inclusion of more UMNO members. What is the real story here? Is it COVID-19 or is it political instability that's really embedded in the current coalition?
See, the same questions you're asking right now on this show this evening is the same questions that investors are asking each other in private meeting rooms or in these days Zoom meetings, because previously they do these kind of conversations in this smoky backdoor hotel lounges in Bukit Bintang. These days they do it on Zoom and they're asking the same thing. What is this announcement going to address, the problem that they want to solve? And can they do it using this announcement, or are they overstepping their boundaries? These are the same questions that investors have been asking this government for the longest of time, ever since they took power earlier this year.
So political analysts are saying that this would be a masterstroke, having an emergency rule, because it would basically stop all external challenges to the current administration. But is it really just kicking the can down the road in terms of stability?
Yes, of course.
And so what is the solution for the Perikatan National Government in its search for stability?
I don't know, man. That's the biggest question right now. So we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll discuss more on this matter. Don't go anywhere.